his videos. He does a lot of really cool stuff. He's got that one where they had the two bullets collide midair, and then he's got the other one I've talked about before where he created a clear carburetor where you could actually see like what happens inside of a carburetor.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool kind of sciencey or engineering type of YouTube channels. Like I like Mark Rober. Do you ever watch any of Mark Rober's stuff?
Yes.
His stuff's a bit more like geared towards like kids, but it's still pretty interesting stuff that he does. And then I like Nile Red.
I don't think I've seen that.
He does cool things. He's definitely a lot more like on the science end of things.
Right.
Like he'll try to. Guys, sorry, I'm trying to take my jacket off. He does more like stuff with like chemicals and things like that. Like he had a video recently where he tried to make bulletproof wood.
Oh yeah.
And he was just like going through all the different like the chemical treatment that he did to it and like all the math and everything behind it. His channel is really good white noise.
No.
Like I'll have stuff like that on the on in the background like while I'm working.
No.
But yeah, I love watching stuff like that.
Yeah, anytime I come across like a YouTube channel like that, I'll usually like stop and watch a couple of videos.
Yeah.
It's a good break from like all the other nonsense that's going on.
Did you see that video? I've sent you a bunch of videos like over the past week because I was like having like a YouTube goon sesh. But it was that guy and he was like, "Are you watching anything today, Wednesday, the 25th of this month?" It was just like an 11-second long video.
I don't remember. I watch so much YouTube, like, because I work on a computer in my house.
Yeah,
so it's just
same,
like constant. It's just constant YouTube all the time.
So this video was I just happened to scroll past it. Like I find like the most like esoteric and out of nowhere shit on YouTube.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff that gets recommended to me is weird things. And it's just this video of a guy. I think he's autistic or something. He's in like his kitchen. There's like a kitchen cabinet behind him, whatever.
Yeah.
And he is talking into the camera, and he says, "Are you guys watching anything today, the 25th Wednesday of such and such month?" And that's the whole video.
Like, oh.
And I was like, when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, this must be like a bit or like a inside thing with his friends." And then like I kind of scrolled away for a second, and then I went back, and I was like, "Let's check this guy's channel."
Yeah.
And I go to his channel. He has like it's got to be over 10,000 videos of the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I just scrolled and and it's the same video over and over, 10 to 11 seconds long. And I was like, God bless him. He's doing what he enjoys, I guess.
It's like, well,
he's creating content. And it's so funny because like I'll check the comments on videos, and he's got a ton of comments. People like, yeah, I'm watching the news, whatever.
Yeah.
Like they're just playing along with him, you know. But I really enjoy that, like when somebody who's a little on the spectrum will post something, but then like the people in the comments engage with him, but like in a nice way,
right? Because
they want to see him do more.
Right.
They're like, please post more. Like your stuff is like it's genuine.
Yeah, it's always nice when I'm on YouTube and every once in a while, like, because I'll have like channels like I'll subscribe to, and I just won't see anything from them for a very long time.
Internet historian.
Yeah, and then it's like I'll start like watching other stuff.
Yeah,
and like then their stuff won't get recommended to me.
Yeah,
and I hardly ever like go into my like subscribe channels, like unless I'm like I haven't seen something from this person in a while, and I'll like specifically go look at their channel.
Like have they uploaded anything? Yeah.
And so like that was that way with like Review Bra.
Review Bra, yeah.
And then like the other day, one of his videos got recommended to me, so I started watching his videos again.
Over and over, yeah. My favorite thing about Review Bra is he's just so quotable. And I watched some like online publication like did a piece on him or whatever, like they did like a quick little interview thing, and he was talking about like why he does what he does and everything, and it was like I could have sworn that he was doing a bit like a character.
No.
That's who he is.
Yeah.
That is 100% who he is. He dresses like a Baptist preacher, and he eats
uses
fast
transatlantic
accent. Yeah. That's who that person is. I was like, you know what? God bless him, because he's giving us some gold. Yeah. It's funny, his most famous video, of course, is that Popeyes video where he eats the shrimp, and he's like, What does he say? He goes, "My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined."
Yeah.
And it's funny if you go back and you watch that video. He knows that he said gold in that moment because he has like the slightest little like smirk, and he's like, "Okay, keep it down.
Yeah.
Be professional."
Yeah, that's one thing I do because it's like it's funny because like why the fuck would you review fast food in the way that you do? Because he reviews it like he's giving like a Michelin star rating, right? And then, but I think that's why a lot of people like it.
Yeah,
you know,
because
he's actually giving you an honest opinion.
He does, yeah. Like if you actually watch all his videos, like one of his videos all the way through, he really breaks it down. It's like whether or not this thing is even worth spending your money on.
Right.
Because as you and I both know, sometimes fast food is not fucking worth the money, especially nowadays with how expensive it is.
No.
Wesley and I were having a conversation before we recorded about how fast food has become like an event. Like you have to, it has to be an occasion to go and get it.
Right. Especially like with places like Chick-fil-A is expensive. You know who's really fucking expensive is Zaxby's.
Yeah.
You might as well go to a normal fucking restaurant.
Yeah. Zaxby's is crazy expensive.
Like if you get like a wings and things,
for
like one person, it's like $18 fucking dollars.
Yeah, that's what it's like going to Subway. If you go get a meal at Subway, it's like $18.
Yeah, for a Subway fucking sandwich.
For a Subway sandwich. It's like you might as well just eat a sponge than have somebody steal $18 while you're choking. That's what the Subway experience is. Zaxby's, though, is like, you know, I mean, it's probably true for most fast food restaurants, but like, nobody's really going in to eat at a fast food restaurant. Like,
no, it's
people
all
just
drive-thru.
go through the drive-thru. Yeah. But if you go to like Zaxby's and you sit down and eat at a Zaxby's, the food is a lot better because, like, you know, there's only so much they can do when they put like together this breaded chicken and these French fries and this coleslaw and this toast and a fucking styrofoam container all together.
Right.
It's going to steam everything.
Right.
So when you get back to like
you got these limp dick flaccid French fries.
You get back to your office, everything's just wet. Yeah. Everything's mushy and wet. That's why, you know, like you go and you get KFC and you bring it home.
No.
Almost everything is in good condition, but that chicken is sloppy.
Oh, yeah.
Because it just sat in that bucket and steamed.
I feel like they used to be better about it. I don't know what has happened to them.
Well, I don't know. Did we ever talk about how KFC has directed more of their attention overseas?
I don't think so.
So I watched a video about that a while back because, you know, people were like, I noticed a lot of people were like, man, KFC really sucks. Like, it used to be really good. How are they still in business?
No.
And it's because they spend most of their like R&D and like marketing and everything is focused overseas.
Really?
Interestingly enough, they have convinced the entire nation of Japan. The entire nation of Japan, you heard me right, that eating KFC on Christmas is just what you do.
Really?
Yes.
So it's like a Christmas tradition.
It's a Christmas tradition in Japan to eat KFC. But, you know, they you know, all their new stuff, like they like, we get some new stuff here in the States, but like, you know,
it's like that slop bowl that they put out.
Yeah, the slop bowl. In the Philippines, KFC's big in the Philippines. It seems like kind of like Asian and East Asian kind of thing, but they get all kinds of new stuff, and like their quality is just so much better.
Yeah.
And I think what happened is KFC was really the only name in chicken.
Yeah.
In that market, so they really were like, you know, they were the big dogs.
Yeah.
And over here, they got beat out by
like
Popeyes,
Bojangles. Like there was like a lot of competition.
Yeah, Church's.
Right.
Mrs. Winter's not a thing anymore, sadly.
I love Mrs. Winter's.
Yeah. But, you know, they decided, well, we can spend most of our time over here where we have loyal customers over here in like Asia,
right,
where we know we're all that they eat.
Right.
You know, why would we spend the time and the money trying to fight 5 other restaurants who are kicking our asses when we can just focus on this over here?
Right.
That's exactly what they've done.
Well, I mean, I guess that makes sense because I remember for the last job that I had when I was traveling all the time, I remember like going to Canada, and in Canada, KFC's real big up there.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes sense that they would focus more on the international market as opposed to like stateside.
Did you see a bunch of other fast food chicken places in Canada?
There's a couple of pot pies, but it wasn't like it was with KFC.
Not like down here.
Interestingly enough, in Canada, they really love the A&W root beer.
What?
Yeah, so like the A&W restaurant.
Like the Sonic version?
Yeah, sort of. So like they have...
It's because A&W root beers, or A&W American Western is the same thing as Sonic, right? Like you have like the little stalls you drive into.
No, this one was like, it's like a normal like McDonald's you might go to. Yeah. But like up there, was kind of neat was like you go inside and they had like this big like freezer, like you see like at DQ that has like all the cakes and stuff in it.
Yeah.
Instead it was all mugs. And so you would grab your mug and you'd bring your like frosted mug up there and they'd fill it full of
root beer.
Ooh, and it was so fucking good.
Sounds really good.
And it like it had like that sassafras like bite to it,
like spiciness. Yeah,
but there was a lot more like vanilla in it.
Yeah, so there was like the sweetness there as well.
It's so fucking good.
I love root beer. I really do. I love cream soda as well.
Yeah. You know what's really good?
What's that?
Is Dr. Pepper with cream soda.
Yes, yeah. That's why like when I used to drink soda, like Coke, vanilla Coke was my thing. I really liked vanilla Coke. But like, you know, I very rarely, if ever, drink soda anymore. But I always liked root beer. Like my, I don't like Barks. I think Barks sucks.
Yeah.
But Mug.
Yeah,
with the Bulldog was really, really good. And root beer is kind of one of those things where it's like you either like root beer or you fucking hate root beer.
Right.
I know a lot of people really hate root beer.
I can see why.
Because it is a strong flavor. I get it. It's like onions. Like you either like onions or you hate onions. But like, yeah, just like a root beer float. Like with a scoop of ice cream in it is so good.
Yeah, I remember like as a kid, like trying root beer for the first time, and like, you know, like you don't know, like I saw it and like my first thought is like, oh, it's gonna kind of taste like Coke.
Yeah. Or
like it might taste sort of like RC Cola or something like that. And then like you take a drink, you're like, what the fuck was that?
Like, that's a whole different thing. I love all the knockoff soda brands like Dr. Bob.
Yeah, like Dr. Thunder. Yeah, like all like the Sam's Club version or whatever.
Yeah, I love stuff like that.
It's always funny, like to kind of recall like my childhood like that. So like we'd always drink like the off-brand stuff. Like we'd get like Dr. Thunder, like, you know, Mr. Bob or something like
Mr.
that.
Bob.
Yeah, Mr. Bob.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I remember like as a kid, before they put the Walmart in town, I remember we used to have to go to Douglasville. And Mom would do the shopping over there.
Cub Foods.
Yeah, so there was the Walmart over in the corner, and that was before the Super Walmarts.
Yeah.
And so all they had was like clothes and stuff.
Right.
And so of course we would go in there and like she would get whatever it was that she was getting. I wasn't paying attention. I was a child.
Yeah.
And then we'd go over to Cub Foods, and Cub. I don't know why it's like seared into my memory.
Yeah.
Like Cub Foods. I just remember. Like there was like it was set up so much differently than like any like normal store now.
Yeah.
I remember like we would walk in and it was just like a big roundabout. Like the outside of it was like all the freezer food.
Yep.
And then like in the middle, then you'd go down the middle like this.
Like zigzagged.
Like zigzagged. And I feel like there was like a watchtower in the middle of it.
There was. I remember the watchtower.
Was there?
Yeah. It was like a prison watchtower.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if there was somebody, if that's where the manager was or if that was where the sniper was. But I remember everything was green and orange. Green and orange was the color scheme.
Yeah.
And it was very dark in there. It was very dimly lit in that building.
Yeah.
But that was where we got our groceries from.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen another Cub Foods. I think that's the only one I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think they may have gone out of business.
It's sort of like Kmart.
Yeah.
Like Kmart is not a thing anymore.
I guess their prison yard system didn't carry them very far. You know, that Walmart, is that the one where we opened up those Hot Wheels in the bathroom?
Yeah.
And that fucking dude narked on us? Bastard.
Yeah, I remember because there was like some Hot Wheels that were laying in the sink. And we're like, oh, like Hot Wheels.
We'll
so
just play with these.
Opened them, was playing with them in the sink.
Yeah.
And we just left them in there.
Yeah. And some dude came by and was like, "Ma'am, your sons, they were playing with Hot Wheels in the bathroom." And we got in big trouble for that. I was like, "What's the big deal, man?"
I was like, "Yo, fuck that guy."
You think that's where our problem with authority started? Over the week or earlier this week, I had sent Wesley a documentary to watch on YouTube. So I think we want to get into that a little bit because there's a lot to be said about this.
So I have no formal introduction to Boogie.
That was everything you needed to know. That documentary, you don't need to know anything else.
So there's a channel that I watch that I get like pop culture news from or whatever, and I had heard through the channel, like this guy that does the channel, that I guess I had heard about like the gun incident, like him like shooting or whatever.
He shot a warning shot.
Yeah, right. So I had heard
in
about
a residential neighborhood.
but like before that, like I don't have any formal introduction to.
So he was one of like the OG YouTubers, like OG like 2006 YouTubers.
Yeah,
and he used to play a character called Francis, who was just like a manic, angry fat guy, and he would rant and rave about things, and it was kind of just this bit that he did.
Yeah.
So he ended up gaining a following, like I said, all the way back in 2006, which is no small feat.
No.
For the early days of YouTube. And then, of course, as time went on, he kind of shifted his focus more to like vlogging, blogging, streaming, that kind of thing. But, he lost a lot of his viewership because he kind of refused to kind of adapt to the sensibilities of his audience. Really what it is like he went from being like self-deprecating to like self-loathing. Yeah. And people were like, this is just not fun or entertaining to watch. This is just, you just sit there, oh, woe is me, pity me, which you saw a lot of in that documentary. So anyway, that was him. That was who he was and who he remains to this day. Yeah. But the documentary, it's called, I remember what it's called. Is it called The Downfall of Boogie?
Yeah, I think like overall the documentary stuff was very well shot. I thought that.
Yeah, so
especially for like a YouTube documentary, I thought it was really good.
Looking at it from that angle, the actual documentary itself is fantastic. It could have been about anything. Yeah, the way it was shot and edited and put together and everything, and like the way he maintained the focus and everything, it was an incredible documentary. That was like as I was sitting there watching, I was like, this is on fucking YouTube?
Yeah, that's all the incredible. Same thing. I was like, this should be like on Netflix or something. Yeah,
this is like something that would like BBC would like spend $1 million to make.
Right.
But it's called The Downfall of Boogie if you're interested. It's like 55 minutes, so if you find a solid hour, go watch it.
Yeah, it's free. There's no paywall to get to it or anything.
So it starts out with him, and he's in the bathtub. Now, Boogie... For those of you who don't know, feller. He is a large individual. I want to say he's over 400 pounds.
Yeah, I can see that.
He's probably pushing close to 5. No. He's a very big guy. He's in the bathtub, and he's kind of reminiscing about how he said one of his happiest moments he ever had was being in the bathtub with his wife or something like that.
I think it was just like a girl that he was...
Or a girl that he was paying to be with. And... throughout the entire documentary, all he's doing is bemoaning the things he used to have,
right,
and how he can't get any of it back,
right.
And it's like, to some degree that's probably true. Yeah. But you can do something, and you can try, but he won't try. He just wants to wallow. Yeah. He remember when he got out of the bathtub and he like lifted up his belly.
Oh yeah, he was like, I've got 2 meat flaps, and I was like, ugh.
And he lifted up his belly, and then under his belly was like a second belly. Yeah. I have never.
Yeah, that was fucking wild.
Ever seen anything like that.
Well, and then it made sense like later when he was like he had gastric bypass surgery and he had lost a bunch of weight.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that was extra skin, and then he put all the weight back on.
Yeah.
And then that was just the extra skin that is trapped between his stomach.
Oh, God, it's bad.
And, like, I know, like, I'm a large guy.
Yeah, but
hopefully it's not that bad.
No, I don't have a second gut I'm still working on the first one. So he goes. They start going over his finances, and they were talking about how much money he used to make, and I think that they said like at the height of his career he was making about $500,000 a year on YouTube, which is
back in 2006. That's a lot of fucking money. I mean, that's a lot of fucking money now, but
I don't think he was making that in 2006. I think
probably early 2012 or
something like that, around that time. He was, the whole money making thing on YouTube wasn't really anybody's focus,
right,
for the longest time, and then until probably about 9 or 10, and then people realized, oh shit, I can make this a job.
Advertisers and
So they were showing at the height of it all, he was making $500,000. And then they showed it kind of dwindling down.
No.
And then they were like, okay, so his finances as of right now are hemorrhaging.
Right.
Every month he loses money. He's eating into his.
He's a net negative.
He's at a net negative. It's like he's eating into his savings. He's eating into his his home equity.
No.
He's just losing everything and doing nothing to circumvent the issue. He's like, oh, I just keep selling my stuff. Eventually I won't have anything left to sell, and I won't be able to get my medicine, and I'll just fucking die. And he's talking about himself like he's already dead.
Right.
It was an odd thing.
No.
Because it's like, okay, you don't get to do both. You don't get to eulogize yourself and then complain about your situation.
Right.
Like, you got to pick one of these things.
Right. Well, it was also odd, too, that he's, sitting there complaining about, he's like, I don't have enough money. And there's, all these, massive arcades, everywhere.
Each one of those has got to be $1,200.
All this shit that he's got. Sell all of it, dude. Yeah. Sell every bit of it. I was like, and then you can probably pay off your fucking house.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I have $100,000 left on my house.
That's nothing.
You could sell all that shit in your house.
Yeah.
And, of course, you sell property taxes. But, I mean...
That at least give you a leg up.
Your mortgage would fucking go away.
Yeah. There's a part where he's talking about how all he does is sit on the couch and watch TV. And he was like, one day my audio went out on my TV. So I went on Amazon and bought a $200 sound bar.
No.
He's like, and the day it got here, the audio on the TV started working again. And he's like, so there goes $200.
Like, no, send it back.
Send it back, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You lazy fuck.
You're too lazy to fucking send it back?
Yeah, send it back.
The $200 that you desperately need?
Yeah. It's like, you dumbass. And then, he goes to McDonald's and he, borrows money from somebody to buy the McDonald's.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And then, later in the thing, he's like, all I do is eat sandwiches.
Yeah.
I was like, obviously fucking not.
Yeah. He gets all his buddies together every so often, and they play Magic the Gathering, I think is what it is, which is just like a card game, tabletop card game. And all of his buddies are kind of what you expect them to be. But he kind of has, he pulls two of them aside, and he's like, look, I really enjoy having you guys over. He's like, but, I'm buying pizza and I'm buying sodas and I'm buying chips. And he's like, and it's starting to, really cost me a lot. He's like, so if you guys could kind of pick up the tab or pay me back.
No.
He's like, I'd really appreciate that. And his friends were like, we have told you time and time again
stop doing that
we don't need all that stuff. It's like, we just want to gather here. We don't need you to entertain or feed all of us. I don't know. It's just I've never seen anybody so cognizant of their financial situation and just continue to destroy it. You're making that's the recurring theme. The overarching theme of this whole thing is he won't help himself.
Right.
He won't do it.
Well, he won't do it, and then there's a whole. He goes to I'm kind of jumping around inside the documentary here, but he also goes to a temp place or something. Is that where he goes to try to find work?
The employment services office or whatever. He meets with that lady.
Yeah, and then he was like,
you want to talk about self-sabotage?
Yeah, he was like, I have a limited mobility,
depression, morbidly obese.
I'm a felon.
Yeah, he's like, if you search me online, you'll see where people call me a pedophile and that I beat my wife.
Yeah.
This is before they've even discussed a job opportunity. It's he just sits down across from this woman and just lays into her with all this shit.
And then what, like towards the end of it, he says something else that I was like, the fuck, dude. Oh, and then she's like, well, do you have any work experience? He's like, well, I worked in the porn industry.
Yeah.
And then she
She
like,
immediately was like, come on, dude.
yeah, she's like, so you think it'd be a good idea to use porn as a reference?
Yeah.
He's like, well, maybe not. And she's like, I'm going to be straight up with you. I don't think I'm going to be able to find your job.
I mean, you know, he after that whole fiasco, he calls the guy making the documentary and leaves him a voicemail. And he's like, you know, I know everybody wants me to get a job. He's like, I'm just not going to do it. He's like, I've got 4 million subscribers on YouTube. He's like, I'm going to start making content again. That's what I'm going to do. And it was like, okay, your videos get like 20,000 views.
Right.
Okay, so let's do the math here. 4 million subscribers.
Yeah.
4 million subscribers.
Yeah.
20,000 views. At least 3,980,000 of those people do not watch you anymore.
Right.
And that's being generous.
Right.
Some people might come by just to see the clown show.
Yeah, well, it's kind of wild to me that he's like, nobody watches my shit anymore. I'm like, dude, you're getting 20,000 fucking views.
That's
like,
that's not nothing.
Yeah, that's 20,000, like, that's a quarter of a fucking NFL football stadium.
Yeah.
That is watching your fucking content. So don't act like it's fucking nothing.
Yeah, think if those were asses in seats.
Right.
Like, that's a lot of people.
As soon as like they started showing like some of his old shit where he's like, pay me money, I was like, right there.
Yeah.
I was like, that right there is why nobody watches you anymore. It's like the self-importance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he was very self-important when he had all his money.
Right.
He thought that his fucking shit didn't stink.
Right.
I think he had put a lot of money into Bitcoin.
No.
Like right before it shot up. I think it went up to like $65,000 per coin.
Oh, like right before like COVID and everything? Yeah.
And then, of course, it crashed really hard, so he lost all of his money. So when it peaked, he made a video about how rich he was.
No.
No one wants to see that.
No.
Especially when like your audience initially started following you because you were funny and relatable.
Right.
I can't relate to a rich person. I don't know if you can. I certainly can't.
Certainly not.
And then, of course, he immediately loses all of his money, and he makes another video begging his viewers to give him some money.
Right. It's like, read the room.
Fuck you, dude.
Right.
Fuck you, dude.
Yeah, the whole thing was and it was also wild to me, like where they interviewed like that sex worker or whatever.
Oh yeah, I was just about to talk about that.
Because he would go.
He was spending $10,000 a month. On prostitutes.
Yeah, they said he had spent like over $200,000 on sex workers.
Jesus.
Like throughout the years, and he was like, God, I'd do it all over again. He's like, I got to fuck LA 10s.
So he didn't learn anything.
I was like, no, dude, you were fucking hookers in LA. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You didn't go fuck Gwyneth Paltrow, dude.
Yeah.
You fucked a gutter hooker.
Yeah, he's like LA 10s are way different than Arkansas 8s. And it's like, yeah, and they're riddled with fucking STDs.
Who are you to say any of this?
You're right.
It's just like, the self-importance is unbelievable.
Right.
But at the same time, he's self-deprecating, so I just don't even know what to make of it.
Right. And then like they interview one of them, and she was like, yeah, he took me out to dinner, and then he took me to like Disney World, and then he like bought me this $2,000 purse. Mm-hmm. She's like, and then I regret sleeping with him later.
Yeah, well, she said that sleeping with Boogie was the reason she quit sex work.
Right. She was like, it took me a long time for me to find his penis. I was like, Jesus Christ.
What an accomplishment.
Yeah.
You made a hooker quit. You were so disgusting you made a hooker quit.
And then he was like going in this website, like looking for more hookers.
Yeah. Yeah, when he was scrolling past him, he was like, that one's too fat.
Yeah. I was like, what?
That one what? What did you say?
Excuse me. I was like, that part was wild to me. The whole like underbelly of like some of this activity, like especially like that kind of like degenerate behavior.
Yeah.
Because, like, we had some guys when I was in the military, like, they would go on websites like that and, like, order escorts.
Can't you get in trouble for that?
I would imagine so.
I always was under the impression that, like, if you went to a website, you went to hooker.org,
Yeah.
and you ordered a hooker, the police would show up.
Hooker.tv.
Yeah, the police would show up at your house.
Yeah.
That's always what I assumed would happen. I mean, I guess unless you're in Nevada, where it's legal in Nevada,
Yeah.
prostitution is.
I mean, I guess there's probably, like, ways around. I would imagine there's, like, probably, like, some legalese. It's
They
like,
call them escorts, right?
yeah.
So the whole I think the thing is you pay for their company
Yeah.
to accompany you, like, to the movies or to dinner,
Right.
And if you just so happen to enjoy each other's company and you have sex, that's an entirely different thing.
If you enjoy some coitus together.
Yeah, but it's like a guy that looks like Boogie, and
Right. It's like, we all know what's going on here.
yeah, it's very clear.
Like, there's...
Imagine that being used against you in court, like the fucking lawyer's like, Judge, look at him. It's just like, well, I mean, she likes my personality.
I mean, like, there was that, and then that was wild, and then what was even more wild, and, like, when the documentary was filmed, the dude's 49.
Yeah.
And then towards the end part of the documentary, like, he is in this relationship with this 20-year-old girl.
Yeah, daddy problems.
Yeah, and
daddy
then
problems.
She specifically says, "I grew up without a father figure."
Yeah, I was like, there it is.
Yeah, and I was
that makes
like,
sense.
Ew, gross.
Yeah, so okay, it all comes together now.
Yeah, and then he's like inside the house, like just fucking laying around, being a fucking fat piece of shit.
Just laying there breathing heavy.
Yeah, and then she's like outside, like pulling weeds.
Yeah, she's out there
and,
cutting
like,
his grass.
mowing the grass,
Yeah.
and like trimming the fucking trees and everything.
I love him.
Yeah.
How?
And all I could think is, like, she is a child and she has no
She has
fucking
no
idea.
She had no clue. She's lost if that's what she thinks that she wants. And she's talking about how he's my soulmate. I don't know what I'd ever do without him. I just don't want to be alone. And I was like, wait a second, what'd you just say?
Right.
I just don't want to be alone?
There it is.
There it is. So if
Right.
it wasn't him, it would be someone else.
Right.
Because you don't like yourself enough
Right.
to be by yourself.
The wildest thing about that, too, is, like, she wasn't like a cave troll.
No. I mean, she's kind of homey.
Yeah.
But, like, she was
like, in good shape.
Yeah.
Like, you would imagine, like, she'd be able to find a normal guy.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah.
It's like, what was the thought with this? Is it because he's an older gentleman and you didn't have a dad and you're looking for a father figure? Is that what this is?
That's kind of what I got her. I just don't know what's in it for her because he has no money.
No, yeah, that was wild to me. I was like, so what is she waiting?
Yeah,
she's obviously
she's
not waiting for him to die.
Anything?
Yeah, the state will come and take everything away.
Yeah, they're gonna condemn his house and then cut the roof off and then crane him out of it. There's a part where they're sitting outside together and like, he's showing her all his medical diagnoses.
No,
He's like, I want you to understand just how sick I am.
no,
And he's like scrolling through this fucking Wikipedia page of all these different things he's been diagnosed with. And it was like, he's like, oh, I just wish I had taken better care of myself. Like, you're not dead yet.
yeah. Go for a walk.
Start now.
Start walking now. Get up and walk.
Get up and go now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was wild to me. And then, like, the whole time he's like bitching and complaining about his parents. And I don't know what the fuck. And it seems to me, and unfortunately, like, the online conversation is always centered around my parents have wronged me, and that's why I'm a piece of shit.
Victimhood.
Yeah, this like victim mentality. And it's like, I can understand up until a point. It's like,
To a degree, yeah.
It's like, yeah, but do you not think that your parents treated them that way?
Yeah.
It's like I grew up and I understood, like, eventually it's like, oh, my grandparents weren't saints and they did some fucked up shit too.
Yeah.
It's like, and now that I have a kid, I'll probably do fucked up shit to my kid.
Like different fucked up shit.
Yeah,
that I
different
didn't
fucked
mean
up
to do.
shit that I didn't mean to do.
Yeah. This is everybody's first time doing it.
Right. It's like, so how about, like, unless, like, there's probably, like, people who, like, their parents actually did, like, horrific shit.
Well, yeah, that's a different thing,
that's a different story. But everybody seems to just want to do this thing where it's like, my parents really fucked me up. They told me I couldn't have a Reese's Pieces.
Yeah, I have trauma.
Yeah, I have trauma.
You have no fucking idea what trauma is. Dude.
Yeah.
You have zero idea.
Yeah. It's like, so like that kind of shit really gets on my fucking nerves. And then like he goes and does like the mushroom thing or whatever.
The mushroom thing.
You didn't see like the end of that documentary?
Oh, yeah.
So he like goes and does like the psychedelic like thing or whatever. And he's like, my parents weren't that bad.
Yeah. I was like,
so the thing that you've been blaming for your shitty fucking behavior, like you just outright said, yeah, it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't all that bad. Fucking, I can't believe I forgot about the mushroom thing because like he goes and he meets with just some fucking dude out in the woods, and he's like, he eats the mushrooms, and he's like, they're just having like this conversation. He's like, oh, they're actually not that bad. And the guy goes, yeah, they're kind of good actually. Like they're just having this weird like conversation, and then they both get really high. No. And he's like, oh, I see the colors, and the guy's like, yeah, dude.
Yeah, that whole part was, and then he like wakes up, and he's like, it's a new day for me. I'm gonna be a different person. And I was like, yeah, I hope so.
I hope so. But I very seriously doubt it.
But chances are you're not.
Yeah.
I was like, you're gonna act this way for the next couple of days, and then everything will go back to the way that it was.
Yep.
And it's like, that will have been useless. Yep. Pointless.
And it's just gonna further solidify that I can't attitude.
Right.
I'm not attitude. It's
It's like, because that's nice. Yeah. It's like, but you have to implement all that with discipline.
Yeah.
And you obviously have no discipline.
Yeah. I mean, anybody can draw a picture of a train, but can you build one?
Right.
You know? I'm going to do this, and then once you set out to actually do it, and you figure out how fucking hard it is.
Right.
There's a fork in the road where you either quit or you do it anyway.
Right.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've decided that I'm going to lose weight. And my thing is, like, I will lose weight. I'll lose 20, 30 pounds. Right back on. But that shit will come right back on once I stop. Right. You know? I think my biggest issue is, like, not understanding where the goal is. Right. Like, the goal isn't just the number. It's, like, the lifestyle change, you know? Like, I'll like, hit, like, down to, like, 240 and be like, I'm done. I've done it, like, 3 or 4 times. Yeah. I don't know. But, like... It's very hard to. I don't want to say that I feel bad for him, because that's what he wants. Right. He wants people to feel bad for him. He wants people to pity him, because he's a parasite. Right. I'm sorry, but that's how it is.
What he needs tough love. Yeah. And be like, no, asshole. Yeah. Get up off your fucking couch and take that dog for a fucking walk.
Oh, he's got that poor little dog. Yeah. It'll never see the sun again. No.
Some little Gollum dog.
A little Gollum dog, yeah. You know, at the beginning, when he's talking about like all the prostitutes and everything, he keeps saying that he deserves to have sex with beautiful women. Yeah. And I was like, that is such a dangerous mindset. Right. You know, it's dangerous to think that you deserve anything, number one.
That you like deserve someone else's body. Yeah, that's essentially what you're implying here.
That's a whole other level of dangerous. Right. Because it kind of tells me, like, that mindset's there. So if one day he woke up and he was in a physically capable body, he's still a monster. Right. You know? Yeah. The only thing that's stopping him from victimizing people right now is that he's physically unable to do so.
Like, he would essentially turn into, like, an alleged Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's essentially what he turned into.
Yeah.
For legal reasons, alleged.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing is just, you know, for one, it made me feel better about myself.
Oh, yeah.
But, like...
I was like, I'm not that bad off.
I'm not 100% a piece of shit. Yeah, if you guys get a chance, make sure you go watch it. It's really interesting just to kind of, you know, see what can happen. What can happen. Right. You know?
Yeah, that was a pretty interesting documentary. Like I said, it was very well filmed. I think the person and unfortunately, I don't remember what the channel name is.
See if I can pull it up right quick.
But the person that did the documentary itself was very well put together, and I was very impressed by that.
I mean, it's as professional as
any
documentary I've ever seen.
Anything that you would see. And that's what because I love documentaries anyway.
Me too,
I'll sit down and watch a documentary. But
so the documentary itself is called "The Dark, Sad Life of Boogie 2988," and the guy who uploaded it is called Mike Clum, Mikeclum.
Yeah, so shout out to him. He did a fantastic job.
Unbelievable. I wonder if he's got other stuff on his channel. I need to check him out. Glad that down in the little like minimized player was that Kentucky ballistics video we were watching a second ago.
Speaking of like documentaries and stuff like that, have you ever seen was it Soft White Underbelly? Like he'll go and do.
Oh yeah, I've seen some stuff. He went and did a thing with like that inbred family.
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah.
That was the wildest one.
The one who could only bark.
Yeah, he like was like interviewed this guy, and the guy's like barking at him.
Yeah.
And one guy like they're like all fucking deformed and shit. Yeah. That I was like, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, it's the fucking Hills Have Eyes.
Oh yeah.
But for real. Yeah, I don't know that guy's name, but he does a lot of stuff like that too. Like he'll go and find like kind of like what would you call it? Not taboo, but like
the more seedy
kind of parts of America, and he'll interview these people, and it's really kind of crazy, like who he'll get
to be able to talk
to. Yeah,
he's got a bunch of really good ones on there too.
Yeah, but the inbred family was
that one.
So when I first heard about it, it was actually I was watching a Joe Rogan clip, and he was talking to the guy.
Yeah.
And he brought it up. So then I went and I looked for like the actual video. And it was the whole thing kind of plays out like a horror movie almost. Like as he's talking to people, he's like talking to people in town about this family. They're called the Whitakers.
Yeah.
He's talking to people like in town. This is like in rural Appalachia. And they're like, oh, you don't go up there and talk in Whitakers. You don't go nowhere near in Whitakers. That's like what everybody in town is saying to the guy.
And like if all these people in town are like, don't
the fucking sheriff is like, no, you don't go over there.
He's like, don't do it.
And he drives.
Do not come.
He drives his. I'm gonna come. And then he drives his Prius over there with all his camera equipment.
Yeah.
You know. And I think the first time that he came up, they were very hostile towards him.
No.
Like they wanted him to leave. Like the one dude was barking really hard at him.
Right.
And when I'm telling you that the man barks,
that's what he's doing.
Here's an audio clip. He's barking.
No.
He can't speak. He barks. So I'm pretty sure they read him off the first time, but then like he managed to contact them, I don't know, via letter or something like that. And then they're like, okay, you can come interview us.
I'm surprised they could fucking read.
Yeah. But they're living in this fucking shit shack with like mattresses outside, and like they're all just kind of sitting on the porch, just existing.
Yeah, just staring into the sun.
Yeah, staring at the dirt. And that's what they do all day, every day.
Yeah.
You know, one dude's out barking. And then they were talking about how they had somebody in their family passed away, and they like buried him in the driveway. They just dug a hole out in the dirt and stuck him in there.
It's actually like it's very unsettling to watch, but at the same, I just feel bad for these people.
I feel bad for them too.
Because it's like your gene pool is so shallow.
There's no saving it.
That like number one, you didn't ask for this.
Yeah.
Like you didn't ask to be born
this way. The guy that barks.
Way.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
Nothing's his fault.
Right. It's like we can't really blame him for any of this.
No. He is a victim 100%.
Right. But yeah, that wasn't a good one. And then, last night, me and Allison watched Oppenheimer.
Oh, did you?
And it was really good. Was
it good?
As far as like movies are concerned, over the past 5 fucking years, that's the best one I've seen.
Really? Yeah. I've been wanting to watch that.
Because they did a really good job.
Was it streaming somewhere, or did you rent it?
We bought it on Amazon. It was like $20.
Oh, okay.
So it's, I mean, you'd paid more for it to go see it in theaters.
Yeah, it costs more than that to go eat at fucking McDonald's.
Right. So, I mean, we sat down and watched it, and it's a long movie. It's like 3 hours, but it goes through like him sort of like coming up through academia and how he was really shitty in the lab.
Yeah.
just was not somebody who was very good in the lab. He's better with like theories and stuff.
Yeah.
And it goes through like him like having conversations with like Albert Einstein, and you get to see like some of like the other historical figures. Like one of the guys, I don't remember the first name of this guy. His last name was Teller, and when they sat down and they were talking, and I think this is a biopic, so I think most of this is probably pretty historically accurate.
Yeah.
Was that they sat down and while they were discussing like the atomic bomb and like how it was like essentially what you'd want to do is have that dynamite explode, then shove
The accelerant,
the core down into or you'd want to shove the accelerator down into the core to start the chain reaction. He's like, what if we encased it and then put hydrogen around it? And they're like, that's just so fucking stupid. They're like, that never fucking worked.
Yeah.
You idiot.
Scientists bullying each other.
But so like that was like a little Easter egg that they put in there. Was like them like allude. He's like, well, we could do it this way to make a much bigger explosion, right? And then like they kind of like walk through like Los Alamos and like him getting that together and everything.
Right. Yeah.
They also showed like some of his infidelity and like all that stuff.
Really?
Yeah, he was a big time womanizer.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, he like had multiple affairs on his wife, and
he's like, I incinerated 50,000 people.
Right.
Like,
well,
in 1 second.
And then
she's like, fuck me.
And so there was like, then they had like a tribunal where it was like tucked away, and I won't get into all of it because it's a really good movie and you should go watch it. But
did he face a tribunal?
Yeah, but it was like they weren't charging him with anything.
Oh, okay.
And they kind of put it like in this corner like room somewhere, and it was real small.
Yeah.
And so like it was like a kangaroo court essentially, right?
Yeah.
So, but it was interesting to watch because like you got to see him like as soon as they dropped it, he's like, oh fuck, what have I done? Because he's like they're not gonna stop here. He's like they're gonna keep making them.
Yeah.
And then like they kind of showed like
that's that very famous quote from him. Right. I am become death, destroyer of worlds.
Yeah, he pulled that from what's the fucking book? The Hindu book.
I'm not sure.
I can't. That quote is from. I can't remember. It's a religious book.
That explains the kind of strange grammatical structure of that sentence, because it definitely seems, now that you say that, it sounds like a translation of something.
The Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah. So it is written in dust on this missile of the words, now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. These words are from Sanskrit scriptural text, the Bhagavad Gita. And that are famously attributed to J. Robert Oppenheimer. And I think that's Hindu, but that might be wrong.
Does I don't know if you would know this, but there's multiple Hindu gods, right?
Yes.
Like they have kind of like a lot of religions.
Like a pantheon.
A pantheon, yeah. That's really interesting. I wonder why that is. Like, why did so many religions have, multiple gods? Very few were monotheistic. Very, very few.
Yeah, I mean, I think really the only monotheistic ones, this could also be wrong.
Like the Abrahamic religions,
the Abrahamic religions, which would include Christianity, Judaism, and Islam.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I think the rest of them mostly all have like multiple gods that they worship.
Yeah.
There's Far Eastern, they do some weird stuff. I don't really know a whole lot about like Confucianism, which I think is more like a way of life as opposed to.
I think like in the more like Oriental like culture, it's like their big thing is like their whole idea of like an afterlife is totally different than like what we consider to be an afterlife.
Right.
Like I think most like Western religions, and I say Western religions, anything fucking west of India, is it kind of has this idea of an afterlife being an escape from death.
Right.
Whereas most Eastern religions, and sometimes it's hard to even say it's a religion because a lot of it's just like, school of thought.
Right.
They focus on attaining wisdom and enlightenment.
Right.
Here now.
Right.
Very few of them have any kind of idea of what an afterlife even is.
Right.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, and that's what I think I think especially too with like Christianity, there's too much emphasis put on the afterlife as opposed to like doing
as far as like how it's taught,
right? As opposed to like doing what's right now here.
Yeah,
it's like I can fuck up as much as I like.
Yeah,
And then,
But I really shouldn't.
and I really should not, even though that book tells me I should not do that thing.
Yeah. There was with the whole conflict going on over in Israel right now, there's a lot of I don't know, I'm not going to call it discussion. People yelling on Twitter about Islam and Judaism and Christianity, Western culture versus Eastern culture. I
really wouldn't say that's really Eastern culture either, because it's like Middle Eastern culture.
Middle Eastern culture. Who's the good guy, who's the bad guy?
Yeah.
First of all, there's no good guy, bad guy.
No.
There's bad guy.
Right.
That's what this is.
Right.
Don't fucking fool yourself. Yeah. I had somebody the other day genuinely attempt to argue with me about whether or not taking hostages exists in some kind of nuanced, morally gray area. I didn't even.
What was the argument?
I didn't even engage.
Yeah.
I didn't even engage.
Was this online?
This was on Twitter. They started arguing with somebody else in that comments, and I was watching them, and they
in favor of Hamas or in
favor of Hamas, and they believed that it was okay for Hamas to take hostages because it allowed them to do a prisoner exchange. I was like, just because it was successful doesn't mean it was the right thing to do.
It's like, okay, well, I mean, does that mean that what Russia did to the kulaks was okay?
If it works, I guess
where they wiped out thousands of Ukrainian farmers.
If it works, I guess it's permissible.
Yeah.
What kind of a fucking... what are you talking about?
What the fuck, dude? It's like, oh, that's the thing that I like, so it's okay.
That's exactly what it is.
Right.
It's 100%. That's exactly what it is. That's the through line. That's the running theme with this whole thing. Is
right.
My side can do the atrocities. Your side can't.
Right.
And I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I'm not gonna play pretend and that this stuff is morally permissible.
Right.
That you're the right and they're the wrong. I'm not gonna do that with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like I don't know enough about that region to make a judgment call on who should and who should not be doing what they are doing. Because first of all, it's a holy war that's never going to fucking end.
Nope.
It's like, and it's about religion and it's about land, as it has always been in that area.
Not about who's right or wrong.
Yeah, since biblical times when the tribe of Israel moved into that area.
Yeah.
With the 12 fucking tribes. It's like they've been fighting that war for a long fucking time.
Yeah.
And it's not going to fucking stop.
With the Ottomans, the Russians even.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's been fighting over that. That fucking little strip of land is just, what it is it just so happens that there are 3 big cultures that converge on that point.
Right.
That's where they all meet.
Well, regionally it makes sense because it's where the Middle East meets Europe, essentially. Yeah. I mean, Turkey would make more sense, but Turkey does a better job of melding those cultures together.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are large ports near that area, like near Galilee and like all those. Well, maybe I think Galilee might be more inland, but there are ports on the seashore there, which I mean, Italy's right there.
Yeah,
that's a major European power for a very fucking long time with the Romans.
They were a big player for a long
and then
time.
Greece is right there too.
Yeah, and the Romans held Israel for a long time.
For a long fucking time.
Probably longer than anyone else
Longer
did.
than anyone, I think. Yeah. And then the Greeks, they came into power for a while.
So you have everyone thinks that they have the right to that area and no one else does.
And then the Catholic Church did what they did.
Well.
With the Crusades.
Here's what the way that I feel about the conflict in Israel the same way that I feel about what's going on in Ukraine is I just want people to stop dying.
Right.
I want people to stop committing atrocities on one another.
Right.
And I know that hate over there, that's a very old part of the world.
Yeah.
Even Ukraine and Russia, though, that is old world.
Yeah.
Like ancient shit before, early American history.
Right.
people forget we're a 200-year-old country.
Right.
These nations have been there
exactly
for thousands of years.
It's like that whole area from like Egypt up into like Israel, Jordan, like where like some of those nations are at, like Qatar and everything.
Yeah.
Like that is much older.
That's like the cradle of humanity.
Right. That's
where people came from.
That's much fucking older. Yeah. Well, there's some argument on that now that civilization might have come from further east.
Really?
Yeah, so like tribes of like chimpanzees or like, you know.
Oh, they're going all the way back to like
way back,
wow.
like that they moved from like east.
Like humanity's early ancestors?
Early ancestors came from like over near China, Mongolia.
Really?
And moved over into like Africa.
Wow.
And so like that's when they became bipedal.
Yeah.
But there's some discussion on that, which I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But the
I was just saying that hate over there goes deep.
Oh yeah,
it goes all the way back.
Oh yeah,
all the way back.
Way back.
Yeah,
especially like once you start getting into like once there was the split between like Abraham's two sons, which is why they call them the Abrahamic religions, is that you had Ishmael, and then you had Isaac.
I think Isaac is right.
Yeah, Isaac. So like Ishmael was born from essentially the sex slave of Abraham because Sarah was unable to have a child.
Yeah.
And then essentially Sarah was like, you gotta get rid of this bitch. and so Abraham kicked her ass out.
I want a revised Bible that uses just modern languages.
And then so like she left.
Satan's like, if you eat this fruit, you'll be like God. And Eve said, no cap.
No cap. And then Eve took a bite. She's like, that's mid.
He said, this is low key busting for real.
And then like God comes in, he's like, and Adam's like, she rizzed me up. The Rizzler.
The Rizzler.
And fuck, I don't remember what that woman's name is, the mother of Ishmael, but Hagar. I think it might be Hagar. So Hagar and Ishmael, they leave.
That's the guy that joined Van Halen.
Oh, Sam. Well, I think her name might be Hagar, or it starts with an H. But anyway, so they leave. Let's see, mother of Ishmael. Yeah, Hagar.
Hagar. Okay, you're right.
Yeah. So they leave and they go off, and of course I've done a little bit of research on sort of like how did like Islam start.
Yeah.
And so if there's anybody that listens to this that you are Islamic, please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on this, because all I know is from a couple of YouTube videos that I watched.
Yeah.
But essentially, like, I think that's when they started down towards like Mecca, like along the coast there of like Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Which
would make sense.
That's a huge landmass with a lot of coastline, so it makes sense that that's where humanity would kind of congregate.
It's like right there on the Red Sea, but it's on the opposite side from Egypt. So, and I think like they go down towards Mecca, and there's like a story of like him needing water, and I think like the archangel. I think it's either Gabriel or Michael.
I think it's Gabriel. Michael is the one that threw Satan out of heaven.
Right. So it had been Gabriel, I think. So there's like a story, and I think like he needs water, and so she runs between two mountains to get water or something like that. I don't know the whole story, but like that's essentially how that religion gets started, of course. And then they claim that they are the rightful heirs to heaven, as opposed to essentially what happens with like Judaism, which goes in another direction. Right?
We also say that they're
the rightful
people.
Heirs to heaven. And then essentially, so that happens, they split, and then there's like a whole, the Bible from that point goes on about the lineage of up until Jesus is coming.
Yeah.
And so like it goes to like all the judges, which is Judges is actually pretty interesting, because in that book it goes to like all God's attempts to essentially have the prophet be human.
Yeah.
And so it goes to like Samson and like all the other ones.
Right.
And they keep fucking it up.
Yeah.
And
because of sin.
Yeah. And so essentially he's like, I can't use you guys.
I'll do it myself.
He's like, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
So like that. And so the Bible essentially is just a lineage from Adam all the way up until Jesus.
Right.
And so that's essentially what, as far as like Christians are concerned, that's the New Testament.
Yeah, the Old Testament is
the Old Testament.
The Old Testament is just to build up to when Jesus comes along. Then you have the New Testament, which of course I think is where a lot of people, that's where the Bible and the Torah kind of divest from one another, because Judaism believes that the Messiah has not come yet,
right?
And of course Christianity obviously believes.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they believe that Jesus was a prophet, but he was not the Messiah.
Islam thinks that way too.
Yeah, that's Islam. That's right. I'm sorry. Judaism thinks that Jesus is boiling in hell and semen and excrement.
Yeah, that's what it is.
There we go. Okay,
they
really don't like that guy.
They really hate J-Dog.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think with Islam, they believe that Jesus was a prophet, but he was not
the Messiah.
He wasn't the Messiah. That's right.
I think they also believe, because they think Muhammad was the last prophet, right? They don't think Muhammad was the Messiah.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think, like I said, if anybody knows, be sure to write in and correct us. But I think it's very interesting too when you consider, like, back, in the Bible, of course, the Jews left. They left Jerusalem, or they left Israel.
They left
where Israel was. They left that area. They went through the Sinai Desert, and then they made it to Egypt, and Egypt took them in. And then when they started overpopulating, Egypt said,
like, "You get the fuck out of here!
Get the fuck out of here!"
No, I'm sorry, they enslaved them.
That's right, they enslaved them first. Yeah, and then of course there was a whole thing with Moses and the plagues and everything. So Ramsey was like, "Fine, leave," and then they left, and it was like, on second thought,
fuck that,
chase them down and kill them. So it was interesting that they left and went through Sinai, and then stayed in Egypt, and then left Egypt and went through Sinai again, and went to Israel. And then I'm pretty sure they got kicked out. God kicked them out of Israel and made them wander the Sinai Desert for 40 years.
No,
before they came back.
So they left that area. They went down into Egypt. They became enslaved in Egypt. Then they left and went back, and then they wandered in the Arabian Peninsula for like 40 years.
Yeah.
And so somebody that I know was like, it wouldn't have taken them 40 years to find Israel. I was like, have you ever been
in a desert?
In a fucking desert? It's like they didn't know north, east, west, and fucking south.
Yeah.
It's like they just went, well, I'll walk this way.
Go that way.
Yeah. It's like, so essentially, like, they had no...
And it was a peninsula.
Yeah.
So if you hit the coast, like, which one is this?
It's like, do you know how fucking big the Arabian Peninsula is? If you just wandered around in it for 40 fucking years, it could take 40 fucking years.
Yeah.
You're wandering around in a fucking desert.
Yeah, you're just a caravan of people.
Yeah, it's like it's just
you're a caravan of Jews, so they're all complaining.
It's like, my bunions hurt. And there's like, fuck! So, like, there's no, like, it's just sand. It's just fucking sand everywhere. It's like, how the fuck am I supposed to know which fucking way to go?
Which sand is the right sand?
Oh, that looks like the wrong sand.
Yeah. It's very interesting to, also see parallel. It's interesting to see parallels between all the different, especially with the Abrahamic religions, because they do all share a lot of parallels.
Right.
There's a lot of key focal points where they divest from one another.
Right.
But it is interesting that they all have, kind of the same. A lot of the big events are the same all throughout.
One thing that I find really interesting too is that there are some books that are considered non-canonical inside.
Yeah.
Like the
Vatican has several books.
So
that are not a part of the Bible.
One of those is the Book of Enoch. And so,
really?
Enoch is, for those of you that aren't religious or don't know who this person is, Enoch is considered one of, I think, two people think that never are considered in the Bible. They never died. They just went straight to heaven. So God brought them into heaven. Yeah. Enoch has a book in the Bible that is considered non-canonical, where he essentially says that angels came down and had sex with like human women and essentially created like these giants.
Yeah.
They were like wrecking shit everywhere, which is actually kind of interesting.
What were they called? Some with the N, right?
Yeah. Which is pretty interesting because if I'm not mistaken, I think that it's sort of alluded to in Genesis with the Great Flood.
Yeah.
With
the Nephilim.
The Nephilim. So I'm sure it has to do probably with some of the translations now, but at some point they were referred to during the Great Flood as like, this is one of the reasons why God's going to flood the earth. It's like because
of the Nephilim.
Because they're killing everyone.
Yeah.
Right? And so, like, that's just a little tidbit that...
Do you think Goliath was a Nephilim?
Perhaps.
Or of that lineage, maybe?
Maybe. I mean, if we're talking about, like, you know, coming at... I think he's probably just a really big guy.
He could have been just a big dude.
Yeah, I think he's a big guy.
He might have been like 6'2".
Yeah.
Everybody back then was like 5'8".
Yeah. They're probably fucking shorter. They're like 5'2". Yeah. He's like 6 foot tall. Like, holy fuck. This guy's massive. He's like 140 pounds.
Yeah. Never seen such a man before.
He's like this real tall string bean guy.
Yeah. I remember there was a lot of... a very famous conspiracy theory is that there are surviving Nephilim in the Saudi Arabian Peninsula.
Really?
And that the U.S. military engaged one. There's a I'll have to find it. It's a copy pasta, of course.
Yeah.
Because people have shared it around.
Right.
But it details like a report that has been somewhat corroborated by U.S. military officials that there was like a platoon or a squad or whatever of like U.S. military members that were like set upon by like something in the darkness.
Really?
That was like
massive.
They just saw it was like a silhouette of a man, and they were like shooting at it, and it was like grabbing men and throwing them.
Holy shit!
So I'll have to find that, send it to you because it's really interesting. I don't know if I believe any of it, but
it's sort of like the whole alien thing with like them like the Tic Tac. It's like no, obviously.
How do you explain that?
There it is.
Yeah, it's right there. We saw it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like the further I get into like especially now with them like we have unidentified vehicles. I'm like, well, I don't really know what the fuck I'm thinking anymore. It's like everything's back on the table. It's like maybe there is a fucking Bigfoot.
Maybe there is Santa.
Yeah.
There was, speaking of fucking Bigfoot, there was new footage of him that surfaced recently.
Oh, yeah?
Did you see that?
Where is that at? It was probably Pacific Northwest.
It was
somewhere.
Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
I think people were on a cruise, and they were like filming like a coastline and saw him. But of course, it's very far away and it's very grainy.
No.
So, I mean...
I think a lot of probably what that is, if I had to explain it away, I think it's probably like grizzly bears like walking on their hind legs.
I've seen them do that before.
It's fucking wild looking.
It is. It's kind of weird looking.
They'll get up and like walk for a long fucking
like
way
person.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like get up and like walk a couple steps. They'll like walk through a forest.
Yeah. Like, we want to make you wonder, like, are they evolving to become bipedal? A bipedal bear? Are you kidding me? Like, can you imagine you like sitting in your house and like there's like a bear opens your front door and he's like standing there.
It's like, oh fuck.
Oh god.
You imagine like going out in the woods and there's like all the trees, so like he's like doing some calculations, like Goodwill Hunting.
But it's like honey and bees and flowers, salmon.
He's got like a fusion reactor.
He's like wearing a lab coat. He's got like the goggles on. As soon as he notices you, he just becomes like a feral bear. There was a video I saw the other day where this guy was in a tent, and I don't know if it's real or not, but it's a guy in a tent, and he like unzips the flap of his tent, and there's like a brown bear just standing right outside of his tent. I mean, like up. From me to you. That's what he did. He like zips it back up, and then like the bear's like kind of wandering around his tent, and it's like pawing at the tent, and you can like see it like making that like windbreaker sound. And he's like out there like huffing and puffing, and the guy just starts screaming to scare the bear away. But like I just couldn't imagine being that fucking close to like nature's ultimate badass. Especially with nothing, like what I got. First of all, I'm not going out in the woods without at least an AK-47.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, they don't understand what a bear is.
Yeah.
Because they think like, oh, like a teddy bear.
No.
It's like, no. It's like...
That's basically a demon.
Yeah, it's like it won't kill you before it eats you.
Yeah.
It will hold you down and eat your stomach while you're screaming.
Yeah. I mean, they're awful.
Like I watched one do it to a deer.
Yeah.
Like there's a video of it.
It's awful.
This deer's like screaming on the ground. This bear's just like eating its intestines.
There's a video of a baboon doing that.
Yeah, well,
the baboon's like eating the deer like ass first.
Yeah, well, they're horrific animals too.
Yeah. Anything that, especially like the closer you get to humans, the worse it becomes.
Yeah.
There's a video of this woman. She's like sitting like on a park bench or something somewhere, and she's holding a bear cub.
Yeah.
And she's like nuzzling the bear cub, and it bites her on the chin. And just, I mean, it must have just fucking as hard as it could because she screams. I mean, what are you doing? It's a bear. It is a bear. First of all, I would hold a baby bear if it was like, I don't know, 2 weeks old.
Right.
But like a 3-month-old bear? No.
What a wild fucking animal. Yeah. It's like these people that are like fucking around with like lion and tiger cubs. Like, are you fucking serious?
Oh, yeah, where they'll like raise them in their house. Yeah.
It's like, have you ever seen the video of those two Indian guys riding on this motorcycle, like through like the forest somewhere? And
all the tiger
like
comes.
A fucking tiger.
No, they're on like a safari van. I know what you're talking about. Because like the guy's filming and the tiger runs out of like the grass and it jumps like this. It jumped, mind you, they're on a van that's driving away.
Right.
And the tiger leaps.
It breaks all the laws of physics.
Yeah. It like leaps up to them where these guys are and swipes at them. And I'm pretty sure it caught one of the dudes like in the leg and lacerated his leg. What do you do against that? It's unbelievable it's unbelievable that we've made it this far.
Just
because we can grab things.
Right. We have appendages.
We have these.
Yeah. There was a documentary or something I was watching one time, and I don't remember what it's called, but they were talking about how bad it is over there in like Bangladesh and like with like tigers and jaguars and like they'll come into the school and like take a fucking kid away or some shit like that.
Because they're not afraid of humans.
Right.
Yeah. They
like I watched one where like this tiger was in a pool and there's like this empty pool, like it fell in there.
Yeah.
And it's like a bunch of Indian people, like these long bamboo poles, like smacking the shit out of it until it just died in the pool.
How long it took. There's I mean I've seen videos where like it's just like they're in town like they're going about their daily activities and all of a sudden like a jaguar starts chasing people and they all scatter because that's just fucking your daily life. Right. Is today the day I get eaten by a jaguar?
Day, yeah.
Jaguar day.
Until like enough of them start throwing bricks at it.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, bloody.
Yeah, fuck you, bloody bastard, bitch. Bloody fuck you, buddy. It cracks me up. I mean,
Indian people are so fucking funny.
They are funny.
Without like trying to be.
They're
like,
genuinely hilarious
genuinely
to me.
Some of the funniest fucking people I've ever seen. Like all the funniest stuff on the internet, it's all fucking Indian people.
Like, I know we've talked about it a couple times, but How Can She Slap is one of my all-time favorite videos. Just because there's every single moment of that video is gold. Yeah. I think my favorite part is just how mad she gets when he goes, "You go."
My favorite part of that whole video is where he slaps her, and then he immediately realizes what happens. Yeah. And then he goes, "How could you slap?
How could you slap? How could you slap me?" The guy's like, "How could you slap her, you bastard?" He gets swarmed by like 80 dudes.
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
Like the studio audience like ran on set and jumped his ass. It's so funny.
It's so funny.
And of course the road rage one.
Oh yeah. Fucking these are classics.
Oh God.
I just don't understand. It's like I don't understand the commitment to English in these videos.
Yeah, it's odd.
Like why?
Yeah. Because they go in and out of like Hindi and English,
right?
Especially like in that game show video, like every other sentence was a different language,
right?
It was very odd.
It's like that's like always the wildest thing to me is like if I'd see like a video of like from India or something, it's like I don't understand the commitment to the English language.
Yeah.
Like why wouldn't you just use your native language to like insult someone?
I wonder if that's a leftover thing from British colonization of India.
Maybe.
Because Britain had control of India for a long
for a long time.
Very long time. And then, so it would stand to reason that maybe like kind of Hindi and English are just intertwined now. They just kind of...
Maybe it's like Spanglish.
How you speak. Yeah. Did you see that video I sent you of the Spanish conquistadors, the Mesoamerican Spanish? He's like, I don't speak Spanish. Oh, man. I don't know if... have we ever posted a Super Cringe Thursday video of Nick Hikato? I don't know if we... I know we've talked about it.
I think we've talked about it.
But I don't know if we've ever posted him before. We'll have to find a good one. He can be... We'll finally do it. We'll pick the low-hanging fruit.
Right.
And we'll post Nick Hikato next week. Which, by the way, I don't know if we posted... I don't think we posted one this week.
I don't think we did. We should probably do the one that I sent you of the kid with the fedora and the gloves.
Fedora and the gloves.
Hold on. Let's see. You can cut this part too, but...
I'm trying to think. It's just such a... I've seen so much cringe... It all just runs together nowadays.
I might have sent to you on
oh wait, you said it was it was from that subreddit? Was it Loserville?
Yeah, Loser City.
Loser City.
Yeah,
I remember the sub, but I don't remember what the actual video was. Oh, I do remember. Okay, yeah, he's standing in the back of the classroom and he's like dancing or something, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's like dancing and like he's like lip syncing some song or something like that.
Yeah, this one. Hold on. We'll watch it real quick and then we'll talk about it. That way we can refresh our memory.
What a fucking dork. Oh, he doesn't have a fedora, but he does have fingerless gloves.
Yeah, well.
What is he doing, man?
And then in the back, the guy goes, I can't take this fucking school. He's so fucking over it.
He's over it, man. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of that super cringe video we posted a long time ago where that kid was up in front of the class and he was dancing and then he like breaks his leg and he starts screeching.
Is that the one he sounds like Tom
he does the Tom and Jerry scream. And that guy in the front of the classroom, he just plugs his ears like this. They're just over it.
Yeah.
So done. Like, we've tried to bully you into submission to be a normal person. It's just not working.
It's not working.
There's nothing left we can do.
It's like the internet keeps employing you to continue doing what you're doing.
We had weird kids in school, no doubt. But, like, I don't know if we had any, like, brazenly weird kids.
Yeah, we did.
Like, I'm trying to think, like...
Mustard Kid.
Okay. Yeah, Mustard Kid was...
And for those of you that went to school with us, you know exactly who we're talking about.
Yeah, he was definitely an odd one. He got married.
What?
Yeah.
To Mustard Girl? Probably Ketchup Girl. Hopefully not Relish Woman.
Relish Woman. Sour. He got married to... I don't remember who he got married to, but I saw it. So Mom actually saw a picture of the wedding in the newspaper. I'm pretty sure, and she showed it to me. He had like a medieval themed wedding because, of course, he did.
Yeah, it checks out.
Why wouldn't you do anything normal? But it goes to show there's somebody for everybody.
There's somebody for everybody. It might not be the person you want.
Anybody that would suck mustard right out of a packet.
And he always had mustard under his
fingernails. Long fingernails.
Ugh.
I remember one time he sat down at our table, and we all kind of like, is this it? Is this are you going to shoot us?
Yeah.
And
he's like, I like you guys. Don't come to school tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm going to eat all the mustard. Yeah. He goes, have you ever wanted to take a big spoon and take a bite out of a dragon?
Yeah. You're like, go away.
We were like, no.
Go away.
Don't believe that I have.
I don't like you. Go away.
I don't like you. Go away. I don't know how forward I can be with you. I don't like you. Go away.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just my age, but the older I get, the more I'm like, you know what? Maybe there's something to this bullying thing.
Yeah. I have such little patience for antisocial behavior.
Yeah.
Like, You just you
The older you get, the less patience you have for it.
just do it at home, man.
Yeah.
Just keep it at home, please. Don't do it around us.
Yeah, it just seems like the further we get into the internet, the more brazen people become with their degenerate behavior in public.
Obviously, I don't think anybody should be bullied. You shouldn't bully anybody. However, you also shouldn't act like a fucking weirdo in front of everybody.
Yeah, it's like if you
Because
act...
you're encroaching on my peace when you do that.
We had a guy when I was in the military that he was a weird fucking guy.
Yeah.
He was a fucking weirdo. And he got bullied. And you know what? He brought most of that shit on himself.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I hate to say it that way.
Yeah.
But he did.
You know what's causing this.
Yeah.
You continue to do it.
It's like we're trying to get it. It's like we're trying to get it out of you.
Yeah.
Which is really odd too with the military. There's a lot of fucking odd people in the military. Like, and it might have just been my fucking rate. I was an electronics technician, and so of course I had a lot of fucking weirdos.
Yeah, kind of naturally.
Yeah.
You draw a certain crowd.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, there wasn't. It was like. I guess with ETs, it was an odd mix of like there was like a couple like redneck guys.
Yeah.
And then like most of it though was just like fucking. I mean, they're cool people, but they're fucking weird, man.
Just oddballs.
And it's always bad when like even the weird guys in the division, when that guy shows up, I was like, ooh.
Ew.
Yeah.
When the weirdo's like, you're weird. maybe I need to do some self-reflection here. I'm not going to name any names, obviously, but someone that I know recently found out that someone that they work with is a furry.
Oh, no.
And it was,
No.
and I was like, okay, but like to what degree?
Yeah.
Like, do they just enjoy furry media? Are they into like the suits and everything?
Yeah.
And he's like, he or she was like, oh yeah, it's all the way into the suits and the parties.
Ugh.
So draw the conclusion that you will there.
Fucking degenerate behavior. Just gross.
But you know what? Furries, I mean, they're very public with it on the internet. They're not really so public with it like in the real world. I mean, they do FurCon.
No.
But that's for them, right? They're not like going to Walmart
Right.
in a fursuit. I haven't seen that yet.
No, I would be visibly upset.
You know what upsets me about that though? It's like kids think that's a mascot and they go up to it.
Right.
And it's like me as an adult.
I know what that is.
I know what's going on with this. I was like, don't let that kid touch that thing.
Right.
Because then they're going to like get hepatitis or something.
Right. Like if I was out and about and I had my daughter with me
Yeah.
and there was like a furry that walked by, I'd be like, we don't associate
Yeah.
with those kinds of people.
What if it walked up to your kid?
We'd have problems.
So it's just like,
We would have fucking problems.
All of them would be traumatized because you just flew into a blind rage. Beat up a dog man. One time when I was 5, there was a dog man at the
You
park.
remember we talked about that traumatizing your children?
Yeah.
Yeah. One time at the grocery store, my dad beat a guy with a bag of chicken.
He beat up a blue dog.
Yeah, his head fell off.
His head fell off. You ever seen that video of it's like a I guess it's a Disney where like they're doing like an the Incredibles show or whatever, and like Mrs. Incredible, like she goes to walk out on stage but she trips and falls and her face falls off.
Nuh-uh.
It's like she's wearing like this big plastic helmet
Oh, really?
of like Mrs. Incredible's
Yeah.
head, and I guess the face for some reason comes off of this thing. But like
I wonder what the reason for that would be.
but it doesn't like, the face doesn't come off and then you see the person.
Yeah.
It's like more plastic behind it. So I
Yeah.
don't know why the face is detachable. These are interchangeable.
Yeah.
Like you like really freak the kids out.
Yeah.
They put like Mr. Incredible's face on Mrs. Incredible's head. Yeah, but she's like walking up the steps and she like trips and falls and her face comes off.
Yeah.
And like all the kids in the crowd are like, ah!
My favorite are like all the YouTube videos, like people trying to act like Spider-Man at like kids' birthday parties.
Getting hurt.
Getting hurt.
They get hurt so bad. Because they always try to do backflips. And they just land on their fucking skulls.
I saw one where the guy like jumped up and like tried to grab like a garage door, and the garage door like broke in half, and he like fell back on the back of his head, like knocked himself out.
I've seen one where it was at a kid's birthday party, but it was 3 of them. It was Thor and Hulk and Spider-Man, and Thor and Hulk and Spider-Man are all standing there waving. And the Hulk costume is funny because it's very big and bulky.
Yeah.
And it's like the guy can like barely move in it. He has to like turn his whole body to look at anything. And like Spider-Man's to his left, and the guy playing Spider-Man, he tries to do a backflip, but he rotates enough that when he comes back down, he lands on his knees. And then, of course, like his front of his body like goes forward like this, and he slaps the ground like with his face, and he's out. He's out cold, and you just see like the guy in the Hulk costume just like turn and like look down at him.
If I was at that birthday party, I'd have lost it.
Oh, if I was like an adult,
Oh yeah,
I would have been no good. I would have just been laughing too hard. There was there's a thing they do at I want to say this was at Universal, but it was Spider-Man, so it might have been Disney, where they will have, so they have like these 2 buildings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on the building on the left, the human actor Spider-Man, he's already up there, but he's like crouched down where you can't see him. And then on the right building, there's like a doll Spider-Man where they have him rigged to the system where he swings and he does a flip and he lands on top of the other building, and then the actor pops out, "Hey, I did it." Yeah. But I guess it malfunctioned or whatever, and it slingshotted the doll Spider-Man into the side of the building, and he like fell down. And like they had a voice clip of Tom Holland in case that happened. Yeah. Where he was like, "Ooh, I missed it," or whatever. Oops. And I just thought that, I was like, that's really good planning on their part. Yeah. Because like it's really funny too, like when he hits the side of the building, he's so rigid, it's very clear it's a doll. I love shit like that. It's so funny to me. Oh, have you ever seen... Let me just bring up this last one before we get out of here. Have you ever seen the Aladdin Broadway thing where... Okay, so you know the part in Aladdin, the first Aladdin movie, where he appears to... Or he flies up to Jasmine's bedroom on the carpet. Yeah. And then she says something to him like, "Why don't you jump off the tower?" No. And he does. And of course the carpet catches him. Right. And she runs over to like, "Oh no, he jumped." Well, in that part of the play, Aladdin, the guy playing Aladdin, he like falls backwards, and I'm sure there's like a mattress or something back there to catch him. And of course the actress has to run up to the railing. Yeah. And so the guy playing Aladdin, he falls off, and the girl playing Jasmine goes to run to the railing, but she trips, and she goes face first into the railing. Oh no! And like knocked down like a plywood panel, like knocked it loose, and like it's like this really long pause because she's laying there out cold, and it's like playing this music, a whole new world. She's fucking out like a light, snoring, and then like the stage lights come on, and then like the curtains close. And like the audience is like, what happened? And then they start clapping.
It's like one tap, Mike's like, yeah!
He's like, finally some action. It was best she ate it bad.
Ugh. That's what we had considered taking Autumn to go see, I guess like the Nutcracker, like over at the Fox. Yeah. So... I don't know if that's something we'll do, but if we do go, that's what I'll be looking for, is somebody to fuck
somebody
up.
Tripping and falling.
Yeah, like, oh, there it goes.
There it is.
Yeah, you'll be fired after that.
Yeah. There was I think somebody was doing, they were doing a Wizard of Oz production. I think this was like maybe a high school or something, But they had a girl, of course, playing the good witch.
No.
You know, she comes down in a bubble. So they had her on like a swing thing, and they're lowering her down. She's probably 15, 20 feet off the ground,
No.
and like one of the ropes like snap, so it like dumps her. And she like does like
Oh,
a cartwheel in
shit.
the air, and she just like fucking just a bag
Slaps
of
the
meat
ground.
just slaps the stage. And she like hits the stage, and she gets up. When she gets up, she's like, knocked her for a fucking loop. It was bad. I felt bad because like obviously it's like it's some young some kid or whatever, but like she hit hard.
Ugh. This is like this like sickening thud.
Just like a wet slap. It was really funny too because she's like singing as they're lowering her. She's like, oh
man, those fucking thespian kids.
Yeah.
They're a different breed.
They definitely are. Well, I think that's about all we got time for today, everybody. So once again, as always, thank you so much for listening. This is episode 88, I believe. So we're closing in on episode 100. When we get a little bit closer, we'll start revealing our plan for that. We've got some logistics that we need to figure out,
Right.
How we're going to do that. So we'll find some time and get all that squared away. But I'm kind of excited to hopefully that comes to fruition, and it'll be a good thing for everybody to enjoy. But in the meantime, if you guys have anything you'd like us to discuss, if we were wrong about anything, make sure you reach out to us on the Facebook page, or you can email us at thickboypodcast@gmail.com. Do you have anything you'd like to close with?
No, just the usual. Thank you for the continued support. We appreciate it. As always, if we're not on your preferred podcast platform, let us know. We'll try to get there. Like I always say, I think we're almost on everything except for maybe like some of like the video platforms and stuff like that. So, but we're working on it. So yeah, just thank you for the continued support. We appreciate it. We appreciate you continuing to make us a part of your week, whether or not it's you taking a shit or driving down the road, going to or from work, or maybe
all the
if
way
you're
in
at work,
Japan.
or if you're all the way in Japan. Shout out to my buddy over there. Stay safe, and thanks for the continued support. We really appreciate it.
All right. Well, that's the podcast, everybody. Thank you and goodbye.